The room that wasn't on the map. This story takes place when I was 26 years old, traveling alone for work on a business trip to Baltimore. I'd done a lot of solo trips before, but this one felt different from the start. Maybe it was the city, or maybe it was just my mood that night. My company had booked me a 3-night stay at a hotel right in the heart of downtown. Online, the place looked perfectly fine. Modern enough, with decent reviews. But as soon as I saw it in person, I got this uneasy feeling. The building looked old, but not in a charming, historic way. It felt neglected, almost forgotten, with a faded sign and dim lights flickering in the lobby. I arrived pretty late, just after 11 p.m. The lobby was eerily empty, not a single guest in sight. Even the desk clerk seemed surprised to see anyone walk in at that hour. She looked up quickly, almost startled, as if she hadn't expected company. Quickly checked me in. She then handed me a key card with a nervous glance, barely making eye contact, and then quickly looked away as I made my way toward the elevator, my footsteps echoing in the silent lobby. The whole place felt off, and I couldn't shake the sense that something strange was waiting for me. My room was on the 5th floor, but when I got out of the elevator, something felt off. The hallway was dimly lit and unusually quiet. Every room number ended in an even digit, but mine was supposed to be 517. I walked down the hallway, and there it was, 517, alone, at the very end, almost tucked behind a janitor's closet. The numbers looked like they were just placed there and very temporary. The key card barely worked, stuttering in the lock, but after a tense moment, it finally beeped and let me in. The room greeted me with a chill that wasn't the usual AC cold. It was the kind of cold you feel in a basement, damp and unsettling. There was no Wi-Fi, and my phone showed 0 bars, completely cut off from the outside world. The bed was perfectly made, but I couldn't shake the feeling that someone had just been there. A faint, fresh indent pressed into the sheets. I tried turning on the TV, hoping for some comforting background noise, but all I got was a screen full of static, the white noise somehow making the silence even heavier. That's when I noticed the closet door hanging slightly ajar. I didn't dare open it. I just stood there, heart pounding, wondering if I was really alone in room 517. That night I woke up to the loud click of the door unlocking, but the door never opened. I stared at it from the bed, frozen, waiting. After 10 minutes I got up and tried to open it, locked. The next morning, after a restless night, I made my way down to the front desk, still unsettled by what had happened. I explained to the receptionist about the strange door and the bizarre events from the night before in room 517, hoping for some kind of explanation or reassurance. The clerk looked at me, blinking in confusion, and said, "Sir, we don't have a room 517. Her words sent a chill down my spine, making the whole experience feel even more surreal. I told her a young lady issued me the key card for 517 last night. "Sir, it wasn't a lady working last night. David was on duty. I just replaced him this morning." Confused, determined to prove I wasn't imagining things, I insisted she come upstairs with me to see the room for herself. I could see the uncertainty in her eyes, but she reluctantly agreed. She hesitated for a moment, clearly uneasy, but eventually followed me. We stepped into the elevator together, and the silence between us heavy and tense as we ascended to the 5th floor. In the daylight, the 5th floor looked completely different, almost ordinary. But as we walked down the corridor, I realized with growing disbelief that there was no room 517 anywhere in sight. The room numbers went straight from 516 to 518. Where 517 should have been, there was just a blank wall. No janitor's closet, no hidden door, nothing at all. The hotel employee glanced at me suspiciously, clearly thinking I was playing some kind of prank. I tried to explain, but without any evidence. It sounded unbelievable. She just walked away. I pulled out my key card and looked at the room number. It was 518, and everything that happened there had never existed at all. I slept in the lobby for the rest of my stay. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for spine-chilling horror content, and to watch more scary videos. Sleep tight if you can. Please share with family and friends. There's someone in my room. Have you ever checked into a place so sketchy you just knew something was off the second you walked in, but you were too tired to care? This happened in 2020 when I was 22, traveling cross country with my best friend. It was supposed to be one of those spontaneous trips with cheap hotels, greasy diners, lots of bad playlists. But one night in Nebraska changed everything. I've never talked about it publicly until now, and honestly, I still don't understand what really happened. But I do know one thing: there was someone in our room, and they were never supposed to be there. We were somewhere off Route 6, and the sun had just set. We'd been driving for hours and were dead tired. The GPS pointed us to this tiny roadside hotel, just a row of doors and flickering neon letters spelling out hotel, barely holding on. Only one room was available. The guy at the front desk barely looked up, slid us a key, and mumbled something about "don't lose it, it's our only copy." We laughed it off, grabbed our backpacks, and made our way to room 11. The second we opened the door, this wave of bleach hit us, mixed with something older, stale, moldy. The kind of smell you can't quite place, but immediately distrust. The carpet was frayed and stiff, like it hadn't been vacuumed in months. There was a dark, crusty stain on the lampshade, and I kid you not, scratches on the inside of the door, like someone had tried to claw their way out. I remember saying, "What? Did someone get murdered in here?" trying to be funny, but it didn't land. My friend just gave me this uneasy smile and turned on the TV. Around 2:30 a.m., I woke up to whispering. I thought my friend was talking in her sleep, but when I sat up, she was wide awake, frozen, and staring at the bathroom door. The light was on inside. The door was half closed, swaying back and forth, creaking softly with every movement. My friend whispered, "I heard someone moving in there." Now the door had been shut earlier. We hadn't used the bathroom since getting back from dinner. I thought maybe it was a draft, but when I looked closer, something caught my eye, a single, wet footprint, right outside the shower. It was barefoot, human, just one, like someone had stepped out the shower and vanished. I grabbed this fireplace poker next to the wall. I slowly crept toward the door, heart pounding in my throat. My friend stood behind me, clutching her phone, ready to call someone. I pushed the door open fast. Nothing. The bathroom was empty. The shower was wet. No window or vent big enough to crawl through, just the footprint, slowly drying on the tile right outside the shower area. We tried to explain it away. A plumbing issue, maybe condensation. But nothing really made sense. Still, we were too exhausted to drive. So we locked the bathroom door from the outside, shoved the chair up against it, and left the light on. Big mistake. Around 4 a.m., I woke up again. This time, it was a bang. The bathroom door opened, then slammed shut. From the inside, we both jumped up. The chair was knocked over. The lock had clearly been flipped from inside the bathroom. That was it. We were done. I called the front desk. The guy picked up, clearly half asleep. I tried to explain what was happening, but his tone shifted when I told him our room number. There was this pause. Then he said, "Room 11. Someone else complained about that room a few days ago." I asked what he meant. His voice got quieter. They found someone had been living inside the walls. We were out of there within 10 minutes. I didn't even bother changing out of my sweats. We grabbed our bags and ran. Didn't ask for a refund. Didn't say goodbye. As we drove off, I looked back at that row of rooms. Just a line of doors and shadows moving behind faded curtains. We never filed a police report. What were we going to report? I don't know what they meant by inside the walls, and I really don't want to find out. But sometimes I still wonder that footprint, that door slamming shut, the way it felt like we were never actually alone in that room, makes me think whoever or whatever was in that bathroom was already there before we ever checked in. And if we hadn't left when we did, they might have never let us leave at all. If you've ever stayed in a roadside hotel and thought you heard something behind the walls, you might not have been imagining it. Stay safe out there, and whatever you do, check the bathroom before you fall asleep. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for spine-chilling horror content, and to watch more scary videos. Sleep tight if you can. Please share with family and friends. The guest who never left. Have you ever wondered what lingers in places where people were never meant to leave? What if you booked a room and you weren't the only one sleeping there? Let me tell you about a weekend I'll never forget. A weekend I sometimes wish I could forget. This happened in 2022, when I took a weekend trip with my girlfriend to a scenic lodge in northern Washington. It was remote, surrounded by endless walls of dense pine trees, the kind of isolation that felt peaceful at first. The lodge had this rustic 1930s charm, old wooden floors, brass keys instead of key cards, faded oil paintings in the halls. It also had a reputation for being historical, which I later realized was basically code for creepy as hell. The first night went fine. We explored the nearby trails, grabbed dinner at the lodge restaurant, and fell asleep easily in our room, room 402. The bed was old but surprisingly comfortable, the night air cool and silent. But the second night something changed. I woke up around 3:45 a.m. to the sound of footsteps. Not just casual creaking, heavy, deliberate footsteps, pacing, back and forth, back and forth. I remember lying there, frozen, just listening, trying to make sense of it. Maybe it was the pipes, maybe some type of animal on the roof. But we were on the 4th floor, and they told us the 5th floor was sealed off for renovation. There shouldn't have been anyone above us. Trying to brush it off, I put in my earbuds, turned up some white noise, and forced myself back to sleep. The next morning, as we grabbed some coffee in the lodge dining area, I casually mentioned the noise to the receptionist. She smiled politely until I told her we were in 402. Her face changed immediately. She looked uncomfortable. "You're in 402, right?" she asked again. When I nodded, she said, "There's no one above you. That 5th floor is sealed off, under renovation and completely empty." There was this short, kind of eerie silence. I laughed it off, but honestly, the back of my neck was prickling. The whole walk back to our room. I told my girlfriend, and we both agreed, just old building noises. Nothing to worry about. That night, though, I just couldn't sleep. I stayed awake, just staring at the ceiling. 3:30 a.m., 3:40 a.m. Then exactly at 3:45, the footsteps started again. Heavy, slow, right above us. Then came the weird noises. At first it was soft, barely audible over the sound of my own heartbeat. Then it got louder, like someone was really upset, throwing things around. Then came dragging sounds, like something heavy, maybe a furniture being pulled across the floor. I grabbed the flashlight from my backpack and stepped into the hallway. It was empty, dead silent. The old carpet muffled my steps as I walked toward the stairwell that led up to the sealed fifth floor. The door at the top had a thick chain across it, but as I got closer, I saw something that made my stomach drop. The chain was swinging, swaying back and forth as if someone had just been there. I didn't stick around. When I got back to the room, my girlfriend was sitting up in bed, eyes wide and terrified. Before I could even ask, she whispered, "Someone was standing at the foot of the bed while you were gone." I froze. She described him, a man in dark clothes, standing perfectly still, not moving, not speaking, just watching. She said she blinked, and he was gone. We didn't wait. We packed our bags in record time and were out of there that morning. Weeks later, back at home, I couldn't shake it. I started digging around online about the lodge, and that's when I found it. In 1963, a man had checked into room 502, the room directly above ours. When it came time for him to check out, he never checked out. They went to check the room. He had barricaded the door with furniture from the room and slit his wrists. They believed he had been unalive for some days. The room was sealed off afterward. Supposedly no one stayed there since. This year they were renovating the fifth floor, but every night at exactly 3:45 a.m., some say you can hear him pacing, dragging furniture, waiting for someone to notice he's still there, waiting for someone to come find him so he can leave. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for spine-chilling horror content, and to watch more scary videos. Sleep tight if you can. Please share with family and friends.